Hello, I'm Stuart. I'm just going to give it just a couple more minutes, just in case anyone else turns up, and then we'll get started. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all enjoying the open day. I found this chord today. Play this. How do you find? It's a nice one. This one's good. Would it be possible if you just all say hi in the chat, just so I know that you can hear me? That'd be really helpful. Oh yeah, do a thumb up. Good idea. Yes. So you do thumbs up, you press reactions. Should be able to put yes. Excellent. Good news. Everyone, yeah. So we might as well get started if anyone else comes. I've just got to read this thing out to you. It says, I must read out the bullet points below to reaffirm our safeguarding measures. So all participatory sessions relating to online open day will be recorded for upload to the web, archive purposes, and to ensure best practice for future recruitment events run by the college. By joining this session, you give consent for the RNCM to record and store your participation. Can't speak today. If you do not wish to be an active participant, please keep your camera and microphone switched off. But you're very welcome to turn your cameras on if you wish, and you should remain muted unless asked to speak. In this case, I think if everyone can turn their microphones on and videos on if you fancy it, but you don't have to. No pressure whatsoever. So this is an opportunity for you guys to, I guess, if there's any guitar-related questions. I assume you're all guitarists. This is the guitar principal study session. The person that's just joined us, hello. Could you give us a little thumbs up so I know that you can hear me? I'm not talking to a blank screen. I am. Yeah. So I was just reading out that basically the session's been recorded. If you don't want to be an active participant, please keep your camera and microphone switched off, but you're welcome to turn it on. Okay, so does anyone, I can give you if I start by giving you a general kind of description of the kind of stuff that you might be asked to do when you're at college. So I teach, and I'm Stuart, so I'm deputy head of pop, and I teach fourth year guitarists and masters guitarists. So there's another guitar teacher called Johnny Hayes. He teaches years 1, 2, and 3. Paul, can you just give us a little thumbs up so I know you can hear us? Everyone's technology is working. Beautiful. Amen. So I guess the main aim, what we tend to find is that people that come to college are really, really good at their instruments to start with. So it's a great place for us to start working with the students. So the way that guitar seems to be taught earlier in people's kind of musical lives, so before coming to a conservatoire, a lot of people can play the guitar really well, but they don't fully understand the guitar. They don't understand what all this is, and they find it more difficult to connect musical theory to kind of theoretical ideas, understand how it might fit into the fretboard, and then kind of what kind of sound it makes. And I think that it's quite a hard step up, if that makes sense, to get over that initial hurdle of kind of what notes am I playing, how do they kind of situate themselves, how does each note situate itself in the harmony that I'm playing or within the melodic line that I'm playing. And how does that relate to the music as a whole? And I guess primarily, do I like it or not? And if I don't like it, can I identify what about it is that I don't like? And how can I adapt what I'm doing to make it sound like something I do like? So I think really having kind of been able to understand theoretical ideas and apply them in practice really helps you to develop your own ideas and your own identity. And you'll start to understand the music that you're playing a bit more. So I think in the early stages of the degree, it's kind of really trying to get people to get to grips with, just to get to grips with understanding what they're doing a bit more. So there's, and developing their technique and developing their touch and developing the way that they kind of connect with the instrument to make sound. So Johnny, who you'll have for the first 3 years if you come to college, on the guitar, he gives you a lot of stuff to look at, kind of technique based stuff. So kind of using scales in specific, kind of practicing scales perhaps in more depth than you have done before, so that you can start to develop your own relationship with these ideas a bit more. And so you'd be looking at major scales, pentatonics, the usual things, but in much more depth. And then you would look at melodic minors and harmonic minors and kind of think about the modes that come out of those scales. If anyone's got any questions at any point, just fire them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. Obviously looking at chords in more detail, like how chords are made up and different kinds of chords, so you can expand your chordal vocabulary, kind of different density of voicing. So you might say, playing a D major 7, we could play here. Like this is a nice one. Do a major 9. I'll do a crunchy one, like that one. But this is just D major 7. This one's a good one. This one's also nice. Well, like this one. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, there's a huge number of possibilities, and all of this stuff takes a long time to explore, and a lot of kind of involves quite a lot of understanding about the instrument and about the theory that kind of underpin those ideas. Let's have a look. So I guess that's the initial kind of hurdle to overcome, isn't it? Is to really kind of start to understand the guitar and understand theory and link those things together so that you understand what it is that you're doing, and you're not just looking at guitar as shapes. I think that's a really common thing that people do, and it is shapes, isn't it? E major is that, but it's also E, B, E, G sharp, B, E, and it's also root, fifth, root, third, fifth, root. So if you can start to look at it in all of those different ways, so you understand the shape, you understand what notes are in it, and you understand the context of those notes. Because if I was playing a C sharp minor chord, this wouldn't be the root, it would be the third, and then the seventh, and the third, and the fifth, etc. So it's kind of understanding things in context. That's the the kind of real the growth, I guess, of knowledge that students develop in the first, when it's a lifelong development. But certainly there's quite a good ramp up of that. Some people are more aware of what they're doing than others, some people less so. So it's kind of making sure that everyone's kind of coming to a level playing field with their understanding of the instrument. Then how you apply it is much more subjective. You will naturally resonate with certain sounds in ways that other people don't, and you'll start to naturally navigate towards certain chord voicings, and through that you start to develop your own unique identity as a guitarist, I suppose, which is the ultimate plan. So the ultimate plan is that you kind of leave college having had a huge amount of experience playing in lots of different situations, making music, people recording music, writing your own music, writing music with other people, working in professional environments, doing all sorts of fun, creative things, just being in a real kind of inspiring environment where you can be supported by the community of people around you, and really be involved in that community and making music together, and that then gives you this kind of springboard out into the industry to kind of with a sound and with a sense of who you are, and all of the relevant theoretical kind of and practical kind of technique to support that. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Has anybody got any questions, or shall I carry on? Paul, good man. So nobody's got any questions? You'd all shake your heads. Okay, so let's have a think about, well, one thing. Oh, there's another person coming. Flying in. There we go. Afternoon. David, if you can just give me a thumbs up to say you can hear me. Yay. Welcome aboard. You're in the guitar club. Call it guitar club. The principal study guitar kind of Q&A type thing. So yeah, please, if anyone's got any questions, then fire them in. Maybe I should give you some questions to answer. Maybe we'll get to that. So today we were looking at we do these doing these campfire sessions at the moment. Kind of obviously we're in these kind of slightly different times at the moment, and kind of running sessions over the summer to kind of keep the cohorts engaged with college and engaged with each other and engaged with making music. So today we were looking at chords, really trying to focus on chords, because ultimately chords is what you do as a guitarist. You know, 95 to 99% of the time you're going to be playing chords. So it's really important that you get good at doing that, because actually chords are notes linked together, but it basically makes you better at everything. If you're good at chords, you can be better at soloing, better at writing music, just better. Yeah. So we're taking it. I'll show an example of it as a theoretical idea, and how we could apply that to the guitar. So I'm going to use the idea of trying to create kind of dense voicing, so kind of like clusters of notes. Now on a piano it's quite easy to do, you can just do that and play notes next to each other. On guitar it's a bit more difficult. You can definitely, you can do seconds quite easy. So that's nice and easy. If I try and do this a second and a second, it, yeah, gonna hurt. And I can't really do that, obviously. But say if I wanted to play A, B, C, I can play A, B open string, C. Let's see if I can pull that out. You can see. Okay, so I'm not playing them kind of in order. I'm playing D string, B string, oh sorry, D string, B string, G string. Okay. So if we take that as a simple idea, say we're in A minor, and we wanted to move that idea up the neck. I guess if we look at the kind of the building blocks of what this is, if we assume we're in C major, which is the relative major of A minor, we've got the B and E strings are open, and then we're playing a third here, so between A and C. So if we, so all of a sudden, out of a simple theoretical idea, we've kind of got lots of music coming out. Okay. So I wrote a really good sentence for this class before. Classic academic sentence. There we go. So using open strings creates a unique set of possibilities of timbral variation on a chord instrument. How about that? Yeah. So I guess what I meant by that was that open strings have a different sound. So if I play that, very different sound, isn't it? So super different, really jangly. And I think that the guitar is probably one of the only instruments, I was trying to think of other ones, where you can have some notes that are played kind of held down on the instrument and some that ring out. And I think it really gives it's just a real subtle variation in kind of timbre. So if you all had your guitars, you could all have a go at this. Sounds like you're all doing incredible. Okay, So what have we got here? Let's recap. We've got a third kind of moving diatonically through this scale. So we go C and E, D and F, E and G, F and A. Okay. And you've got B and E open strings. I'm putting an A pedal underneath. We could move that so it's not like. If I do that, we're kind of working in what's known as A Phrygian. Not A Phrygian, sorry, A natural minor. If I do it in E, then we're in Phrygian. If I put it down into C, and we can hear what it sounds like in C major. Yeah. We're going to D, we're in D Doran. Then I could start, if I say we're in D Doran, I still keep that third wherever it is. I could put other notes underneath it, see what that sounds like. You can get all sorts of lovely sound, just very, very simple concepts, just thirds and open strings. Okay. But you can see it's kind of like a little, like a fractal kind of explosion. You've got a really simple theoretical idea right at the center of it all, and then how you choose to interpret that, then that's entirely up to you. You know, that becomes more subjective, and your interpretation of it is what creates your identity. We've got a question. Yeah, hey. So, how often do students get to perform? I mean, all the time. So you have weekly ensemble studies sessions where you're in a band and with tutors. So you'll be doing those sessions. There's opportunities to perform in the session orchestra, in the big band. There's various kind of performance opportunities within college that we were planning on putting on a little festival kind of in the city, so it would be like the RNCM Presents, but that it might be happening, you know, a little further down the line, but plans were just in the start of coming underway to do that. Obviously you'll be working with, so those are the kind of events that might take place in college, and then we have rehearsal rooms, rehearsal pods available to you that are open from 7 o'clock, I think, in the morning. So that's definitely always a good time. Most things are free at that point, till 11 o'clock at night. And so there's just this opportunity for you to book spaces and to work with other musicians from across the course. So, you know, we take 6 per instrument per year. So the cohort is 36 per year. There's 4 years, and the masters, there's 5 years of popular music students. There's obviously working in the college as well, so there's a huge number of other courses, you know, a huge student contingent. There's 1,000 music students, all under one building, so there's inevitable a huge number of performance opportunities that students create for themselves. So, like, in answer to your question, yeah, there's an awful lot of performance opportunities. You could just be playing all day, every day, and that's something that we actively encourage. Kind of cross-school collaborations, so that you might get to work with a string quartet, or, you know, do some they did a thing recently called Bang on a Can, where they had external musicians come in and work with. There were some popular musicians that took part, and also classical musicians that took part. So yeah, it's such a big melting pot of musical minds, and it's kind of like I say, as much as you want to be playing, you can be playing. Obviously, you're going to have quite a lot of work to do in terms of practice and just feeling like you can. Sorry, someone else as well. Yeah, there's a lot of work that you're going to have to do for the course, but yeah, you're going to be very busy if you come here, performing kind of in situations that are provided, as part of the course, and external activities and events that are provided by college, and then also working independently within your cohort and within your course and school, and then within the wider college community. It's just a huge number of opportunities all the time. Does that answer your question, Charlotte? Hopefully it did. Yes. Oh, good. Good news. Anyone else got any questions? Or shall I carry on my open string odyssey? Any advice on how to pick an audition piece? Good question. Yeah. Well, I don't know if everyone knows the structure of the auditions, but there's a piece that we asked you to learn, which recently, maybe I won't say what it is. I might have to wait and see. But it's not an easy one, and it's been some very clever auditionees who have absolutely nailed it over the years. And then you get to choose your own piece. So I guess what we're looking for there is something that's probably shows a different skill set to the piece that we ask you to play, and also really good to see a bit about who you are as a musician. I guess that's the underlying thing that we're looking for. Who are you, and what do you want to? What's inspiring you at the minute? And I think an audition piece it should be challenging in a number of ways. So it should have some technical challenge to it. It's not just quite an easy piece. You're applying to one of the world's leading conservatoires, so it's got to have some substance to it. But you've also got to demonstrate a real depth of musicality, a real depth of interpretative ability, if that makes sense. Struggling with words today, but yeah. So advice on how to pick an audition piece. I went on a bit of a tangent. Choose something that you feel comfortable with, that's a little bit challenging, but you've obviously got time to challenge, to get it together, when the date's going to be, etc. But don't push yourself too hard, because you are going to be nervous. No matter how welcoming we try to be, students are inevitably going to be nervous. It's a very high pressure performance situation, and it's just you and two members of academic staff, and that is difficult. I would find that difficult, and I've been performing for the past very long time. So I would suggest that you choose something that you're kind of comfortable with. It's not too stressful, but it's challenging. It allows you to really show your touch on the instrument, that you've got a good sense of time, got a good sense of tone, you've got a good idea about who you want to be. I hope that answers your question. I know it's a bit of a ramble, but yeah, there isn't really a right answer about or a correct choice, but I think something that just allows you to be yourself and just play with real vibe. When I use that word, yeah, it's a good word, underused. So if there is no backing track, thanks for your question, Paul. This is Nathan's question. If there is no backing track for your choice of piece, can you play yourself, or do you need a backing track? It's entirely up to you. It's your performance space. If you prefer to play to a backing track, then do that. If you prefer to not have to do that, then don't. Then just play by yourself. I mean, people play a bit of a mixture. They might play some solo pieces. People often do kind of pieces with the guitars in acoustic, it's in tune, or in a different tuning, and they might do some percussive stuff. People that play kind of rock, kind of metal-y kind of things. People that might play something soulful, but people playing things like Julian Large tunes. So it's a real mixture, and I think it's just looking to see you. That's the thing. There isn't. You've got to not be afraid to be yourself, because that's the most important thing in music. Okay. So no, in answer to the question, you do not need to bring your own backing track, but you can do if you want. The solo and beta heavily relies on a whammy bar tremolo, and what do we do if we do not have a guitar with one? Tricky. Yeah. I guess you use, yeah. Good question. I mean, I guess that's obvious to the people that are auditioning you, I suppose. And you'd need to practice on the guitar because it's not an easy solo to take on. So you need to practice on the guitar that you're going to perform on. You should just try and interpret the best way that you can, or get a guitar that's got a tremolo on. Obviously, that's not necessarily a very easy thing to do, but I would suggest, yeah, just trying to, I guess a key thing to think about is like the way that you judge music, how you are able to interpret ideas with the technology that you've got available to you. So I would say try and interpret it the best that you can. Some things you won't be able to do just because of the physical nature of the instrument, you know, that, like you said, that track does heavily rely on the whammy bar. So yeah, you can do quite a lot with string bends and things like that, and there may well, I mean, again, kind of goes into like research, doesn't it? If I was faced with that in a professional world, and I was thinking, no, I'm not quite sure how, it's like a problem solving approach, isn't it? How am I going to figure this out? So I try and have a look at it myself. So if I could figure it out myself, cool, rocking, got it sorted. You know, in a way that I think is suitable for me. You know, that I judge musically is the right way to approach it, then that would be okay. But if I felt like I need some other kind of help here, you know, I can't quite solve this problem myself. So YouTube is an amazing resource. There may well be videos of people playing that solo online without a whammy bar. And you could probably, you know, within half an hour look at 4 or 5 different interpretations, potentially. I'm not guaranteeing this, but of people playing it, and you could just try and observe how they do it and think about whether that offers you any other solutions. Other than that, I would think about maybe trying to find a teacher who could help you to kind of facilitate some of those and kind of navigate some of those issues. Yeah, so those are the kind of things I'd do, Charlotte, I suppose. I mean, don't feel like you won't get a place because you haven't got a whammy bar. You know, try and think creatively and try and think about how you can interpret that idea with what you've got to hand. Nathan says it's a solo instrumental by Mark Lettieri, so there is no backing. Cool. He's a nice guy, Mark Lettieri. He's done some masterclasses here. Yeah, lovely dude. Great guitarist, great sound. Yeah, I think just go for it solo if you feel comfortable with that. So I do quite a lot of solo gigs, so a bit of solo advice is you have to accept the silence in the room. It's not an easy thing to do because there is a lot of silence when you play solo. So just be aware that I guess it's a double-edged sword. The beautiful thing about playing solo is you can hear every little thing that you do. You can hear the reverb tail, you can hear the creak of the strings. It's lovely, but the flip side is you can hear everything that you do. And if there's a bit of any kind of errors or anything like that, there's no hiding, I guess. So getting blinded here. And answer the question, yes, do your thing, play it without, obviously, because there's no backing. So, but kind of practice doing it in front of people. I always find parents are the worst thing. Try and practice in front of your parents. Another bit of audition advice is like think about if you've practiced beat it sitting down, play it sitting down. You know, there's no point kind of standing up and having your whole body in a completely different position. So when you get to the point of if you really want to stand up in your audition, and that can be a really good thing for you if you feel like it gets you into the performance a bit more effectively, then do stand up. There isn't a hard and fast rule. Then yeah, practice it standing up, because your arm is, unless you have your guitar kind of very high up, which a lot of people don't, you get your whole body, you know, your arms are in different positions, and because you're talking very fine movements of the hands and kind of wrists and, you know, the whole of the kind of upper body, then just make sure that you are practicing it as you are planning to do it. You know, you think about your patches, think about, you know, how you might program your pedals, where you might need to turn pedals on and off, and practice all that as well, because that's all part of the instrument of the guitar in pop music. It's not just the piece of wood, it's the kind of sound that comes out of the amplifier. So you need to practice all of those different elements that make up that single instrument. I don't know if that makes sense. Any more questions? Okay, should we go back to single string Odyssey? Let's have a sip of water. Oh. Right, so let's say we're using the E and the B strings there, these guys. Okay, I'm going to bring this down. And we were using thirds, weren't we? Okay. So if we think about what do you need to know to be able to kind of identify what that thing was. So when we talked about it at the beginning, I described it. So we've got an A pedal, we're in an A natural minor. We've got the interval of a third, which is moving around on that specific string set. Okay. And then we've got these two open strings, which are kind of creating another pedal. We've got this bit going on all the time, and this bit in the middle is moving. Etc. etc. So the kind of the knowledge, the practical knowledge that you need to have to be able to do that is you need to be able to play in thirds, right? In this, on that string set. Oh my god, it's getting worse. What always happens to me. Okay, so give me a thumbs up if you've ever practiced something like this. Now you have to wait for it. I don't want any thumbs up just yet. I'll give you the nod for the thumbs up. So you have to forgive the tune, but this is just in C major, and all I'm doing is running up on pairs of strings. I think of this as horizontal practice. So it goes horizontal. Okay, this is your cue for thumbs up. Does anyone ever practice anything like that? Okay, so that is a good thing to practice. Now, if we wanted to make that just a touch more complicated, we could arpeggiate those notes. So at the minute they're called dyads. You call them dyads, you call them double stops. Two notes at the same time. Now I'm going to arpeggiate them. Okay, so we're going to get this. We do the same thing across all the strings. Etc. etc. Right. So that's one way of complicating it. We could do it. So there, I don't know if you noticed, I went from the lowest note to the highest note, and that would be like a repeating pattern. And then I might have gone from the highest note to the lowest note. So what we can do, we can alternate that. It makes it a little bit more difficult. So if I do that in the middle bit that we're doing. Okay. So apart from David, has anyone done thirds in that kind of horizontal way, and a slightly kind of just maybe some? Has anyone done thirds in an arpeggiated way like that, or played thirds anyway, as a kind of single kind of idea that we're going to try and explore? Cool. This is new info. All right. Okay, so from there, if we think about the guitar, so I don't know if you remember, I said we're playing horizontally there. Guitar for me works in a number of different directions, and that's something that you kind of will look at the time in college. So if we think about how to do it vertically and play positionally, does this make sense? Okay, so I could start anywhere on the neck and do that. Hang on, that's not right. Okay. So what I'm doing now is I'm combining, to stay in position, I'm combining kind of either lots of thirds on each string, or two. So I'll do 3 on that one, 3 on that one, 2 on this one, 2 on this one, and a 3. Okay, so I'm kind of playing very vertically in this position. You can do that in by limiting yourself to a fret area, or starting on each individual note of the scale and kind of trying to go across the neck, stay in position. So that's a vertical approach. If we think about diagonal approaches, the guitar also works in these directions. So if I did 3 shapes per string, it goes a little bit this way. If I do 4 per string, it goes really far this way. So. So kind of having these kind of understanding of these ideas means that you kind of really start to get to grips with the neck. If I do 2 notes per string, it's going to go this way. You get the idea. Okay. So then that's obviously playing them as dyads or double stops. I can then arpeggiate those ideas. If I'll do it on the 2 per string. Okay. If I did 4 notes per string on that, on arpeggiating, it's going to be a challenge. Okay. Fingers crossed. Might need a few takes. I'm alternating. Okay. So you get the idea. So you can see, like when I talk about like taking a single little idea and kind of just exploding it out practically, so we can kind of really get to grips with it and that theoretical idea, how it applies on the fretboard, what it sounds like, and what I want to do with it. Those are the 3 kind of elements that are constantly interacting. And what we find is that people are really good at the music, but they don't know these notes mean this in this theoretical idea. And actually, if I know that stuff, I can not do this little bit of creativity. I can go and just do lots of different things with a really simple idea. If I think about now going back to the how I might develop the open string idea, going back to that. So I could use the 3rd as a starting point. So all I'm doing, using the 3rd as the first thing I do, and then I'm descending the bottom note. Yeah, so that all I did there, just using this as a different. If I basically play without the jingly jangly open strings, so I'm just always starting. So it's still rooted in that sense of using the 3rd, but just moving the lowest note down the scale, basically. And then I might think about, I could just start to tweak both of the notes. Ouch. Okay. Yeah, so lots of different ideas from a really simple thing. we could apply that to different scale types. Now I've been looking at this really cool scale called, so I hope I can remember this, it's news to me, so yeah, the augmented scale. This is all thirds. So that's a cool one to look at. We could think about, if we think about major thirds, let's move triads around in major thirds. Why does it sound like this? Sounds good. We could write film music with this, okay? We've got C major here, A flat, so a major third lower than C. And we go another major third lower than A flat, which is E. Back to C. Then we can think about it. So I always get my students to look at triads. Triads are really important, really, really important. They're like the building blocks of harmony. So here's a question for you. What two triads make up C major 7? Yeah. Okay, the two triads that make up C major 7 are C, C, E, G, and E, G, B, E minor. If I carry that on, if I go up to G, if I then put G major, got C major 9, if I put a B minor, got C major 7 sharp 11. If I do a D major triad, I've got C major 13 sharp 11. Nice. Okay. So it's good to know triads because they make up chords in lots of ways that it's not always obvious. And you're right, it's just a triad, of course. So if you know your triads really well, you're absolutely rocking, right? So what I did there, going back to the major third triadic movement, yeah. E major, C, A flat. That's E major again, but it's in inversion this time, so the root isn't at the lowest note. So now I've gone to A flat, I'm going to do C. So C's in second inversion, fifth is in the root. E's in first inversion. Lovely chords, aren't they? So I might just enjoy myself on these for a little while. So I've got my B and E open strings again. Now. Yeah. So that's taking a really simple idea. We still kind of under the banner of thirds. We're using triads, a major third apart. Still got my B and E strings open. Down here. It's getting all sorts of nice sounds. But to do that, okay, so I need to know my triads. I need to know where the notes are on the neck. I need to know what notes make up the triads. I need to know different ways of doing those. So again, I could go back to my 4-direction policy. Do I know my triads in 4 directions? Okay. So the kind of triads I was doing there were called open triads, which means that you have 2 versions of triads, closed and open. Closed means the notes are as close together as possible. Open means they're not. They're a bit more. And an open triad could be this. Super duper wide could be this. This is a good one. That's C major. You just thought it. So you got E, third, C the root, G the fifth. Okay. So I need to know my triads really well. Now I can go, actually, if I want to learn my triads really well, I'll use the 4-direction method that Stuart mentioned. Yeah, I was taking notes. It's got C major here, right? I'm just going to go up and down the neck on this string set. The bottom 4 strings only, and these are all the inversions of the C major chord on that particular string set. Now it's easy. It's the easiest way of doing it. Is just to go through the scale actually. What if I didn't do that, and I did a bit of a pattern. So I missed one out. Start here, miss one, back to the one I missed, jump 2, back to the one we just missed, up 2. You get the idea. So there I'm starting to make a bit of a pattern, and that's just on that string set. I need to practice it on all different string sets. Oh, it's a bit of a stretch, this one. There, if I feel like it, I could just include the nice open strings again. I've got G and E, it's major 3rd, and the 5th is chord, right? Just got lots of lovely chords. Okay. And then we do it on the top 4. Okay. Everyone with me so far? I'll take your, you could do thumbs up, then you say with me, yeah, good work. Yes, look at those, a plethora of thumbs. Hey. Try as you see, really good. So then that's my horizontal approach, right? If I could do vertical as well, a bit trickier, but you've got to know them across the string sets to do this. And then we could go, if we did 2 on each string set, we're going to go this way. Okay. If we do 1 on each string set, we can kind of go this way a little bit. Yeah. Sort of. It's not as good on this one. Not as dramatic. Okay, but you get the general idea. We've got 4 ways of working all the time. Then if we think about going back to that kind of fractals, kind of just getting, kind of making things, think of it as like the thumb screws. Just tighten them just a little bit more, make it slightly more complicated. So let's arpeggiate that. Let's arpeggiate those triads. Okay. If we know that really well, we can start to, if we go from that C major to E major, no problem, to D minor, D flat major. Now where should we go from here? Go to F, into B flat, to E flat, to F. Still F, F minor. Okay, etc. etc. You can spend, I've lost days, years playing around with this stuff. Okay, so we were looking at C major then, right? Just in isolation. Question. Thanks, Nathan. How much of the course would you like? Are you able to focus on jazz? I mean, there's kind of probably as much as you want to. There will be challenges in that you'll have to do some pop-related material for within your ensemble, but it can become more and more jazz as you develop. I guess like in the early stages of the degree, you're kind of just learning, kind of getting to grips with the basics, the technique and the kind of stuff that we're looking at, you know, just kind of chords, how they work, theory, how does it apply to the fretboard, etc. And as you progress through the course, you get much more independence. So certainly both myself and Johnny, the other guitar teacher, have a background that has included a lot of jazz study, and I've got a lot of experience of playing jazz. So yeah, it's definitely not. I think the popular music umbrella is a wide and welcoming umbrella that is, you know, certainly incorporates a lot of influences from, you know, I guess, you know, I mean, people are just into lots of different kinds of music, and it all falls under the umbrella. So there isn't necessarily a jazz course, you know, but there is easily ways of learning a lot on jazz if that's what you're interested in doing. There was a guitarist that I had 2 years ago, I think it was, and his whole recital was pretty much jazz in his 4th year. So yeah, I mean, there's scope to kind of do whatever you want, in answer to your question. But yeah, jazz is a great resource for learning about Western classical harmony, learning about how to play an instrument really well, you know, have a lot of facility, and how to have really good ears. Really good for that. How big a part does songwriting play in the course? From Charlotte. I think in the new course, which the ones that you would be doing starting in 2021, there's much more emphasis on composition and developing your own musical identity. So yeah, songwriting plays a big part in it. In the existing course, which there is a whole songwriting module which takes place, and that's going to be more integrated fully, I guess, into the new degree. So yeah, it definitely plays a big part. If that's what you're interested in doing, I think fundamentally we're here to support you in your development as a musician. You know, my take on it is that the traditional infrastructure of the record label industry doesn't exist in a lot of ways anymore. It's back in the heyday of the record industry, they had lots of money and they needed to kind of spend their money, I guess, the record companies. So they would do these things called development deals where they would just offer kind of new artists, here's a load of money, go to the studio, work with a producer, get some support in your developing your identity, developing your branding, developing your musicality, your sense of artistry, all of those things. Then those deals aren't out there anymore. They're very, very rare, where they used to be a lot more commonplace. And I do feel that we offer that development deal kind of ethos of like, let's support you in your development of your own artistry, let's support you in the development of your own musical identity, and let's think about performing. That's at the core of it. Let's think about how you might draw on compositional ideas to create your own compositions, and if that's songwriting, then that's songwriting. If it's jazz, that's up to you. How can you then record that material? How can you manipulate it in the DAW so that you've got a finished product? And I guess that's the whole drive behind the course, is that there's this kind of, you don't walk off this cliff at the end, and go, oh, what am I doing? You go off on a ramp, and you've got stuff. You've got social media presence, you've got material, you've got kind of video assets, you've got recorded music assets, you've got a great sense of musicality, you've got a great facility on an instrument, you've got a great network of people, both within the college and externally, and professional partners, and that we can cultivate for you and that you can cultivate for yourself. So yeah, in answer to, in a very roundabout way, yes, songwriting is in the course a lot. And especially if you want it to be, it can be in there a lot more than the kind of, everyone gets to choose their direction a bit more. So yeah, as the years progress. Any more questions? No. Go back to triads then. What better thing to do? So I'm just going to have a sip of water. So, say if we go middle 4 strings, we'll play an open triads in C. What we're going to do now is we're just going to play open triads diatonically in C major, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B. Now let's stick the open strings back in, because we're kind of using that as one of the underlying things that we're looking at. Get all sorts of lovely chords. So D minor 11, E minor, F major 9, E 13, A minor 7, B. No, it's more like a G13 over B. Okay. Let's do the inversions. What about if we did A minor? First inversion. This was a bit tricky. And C major. It's a nice one, isn't it? Charlotte. As I think as well, how could I expect this to feature in my audition and in the course? Well, I guess your choice is your opportunity to perform a vocal track. Your principal study lessons will be on guitar if you join as a principal study guitarist. But over time in the course, you can choose a bit more flexibility on your assessment. So there is opportunities for kind of bursaries for second study instruments. So you could have vocal tuition, and often, you could have vocal tuition from a tutor, potentially if you get a bursary, and that often involves just doing a little bit of, I don't know, what are they called? I don't know, just helping out at open days and things like that, and then you get a bit of tuition off the back of that. You put in a bit of time for college, and they give you a bit of extra tuition. Like certainly within your cohort, there's going to be a lot of people who are singers. So you could do a little skill swap, teach them a few guitar chords, they teach you a few singing techniques. There's opportunities for developing stagecraft. There's modules in stagecraft. So if you wanted kind of to develop your awareness and skills of how to kind of be on stage as a singer, that would definitely be a really good module for you to undertake. So yeah, and there's also just lots of opportunities for you to perform and receive feedback. In the ensemble that you're in, there's no reason why you certainly could. You could certainly be involved in the backing vocals and potentially taking the lead in some of the tracks as you develop over. As you move through the course, your kind of original artist or original ensemble projects allow you to kind of be the driver behind the music and instigate what happens in the music. So certainly you would be singing in front of tutors, vocal tutors in weekly sessions and be able to receive feedback. And so yeah, it's not you're just a guitarist and there's nothing else that you're going to expect to get from the course. There's going to be constant feedback on all aspects of your musicality and support on all aspects of your musicality. I hope that helps. So we're getting close to the end. Is there any? Brilliant, Sam. So that's some good info from Sam. Works in the executive department. So he says that some students receive a bursary and undertake some work in admin or helping on open days, etc. As Stuart says, you can also work as a paid ambassador. So that's where you, I know that they receive training. So they might do things like be the host. Hey, I didn't know that, Simon. Hey, great stuff. He's an excellent guitarist. It says that. So what was I going to say? Yeah, so you might take over the college's Facebook account for the day or the Instagram account. Go out and create content for college to post. That's certainly one of the jobs that I'm aware of that paid ambassadors do. They probably do an awful lot of other things that I'm not aware of, but I've seen them around. Is this the same at postgrad one? If it's possible to split guitar and bass tuition? I don't know, David, in answer to the question. Sorry. The people to ask that would be the postgrad team, David and Simon. But I don't know. I think it would probably be taken on an individual basis. And if you could, yeah. I don't want to say anything more than that because I think I don't want to say the wrong thing. So, not sure in answer to your question. I don't think I've ever had a master's student who's done that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not possible. But yeah, speaking to the postgrad guys, they'll definitely be able to fill you in on that kind of thing. I guess it depends on what you're being assessed on. Yeah, there you go. Postgrad team are online at 4:30 p.m. Brilliant. Well, I hope this has been helpful. Any further questions, then do get in touch with college, and they can always forward them on to me or to Johnny, the other guitar teacher, for any kind of guitar related specific questions. More than happy to answer. And yeah, nice to kind of virtually meet you, and hopefully we will see you soon. And hope you enjoy the rest of the day. And yeah, get practicing your thirds, very good. Triads, also very good. Think about your 4 directions on the guitar. Think about horizontal practice. Think about vertical practice. Those are the main 2 ones, really. And then think about your diagonal ones. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And yeah, like I say, hopefully get to see you again at some point soon. All right, take care, everybody. Nice to meet you all.